Welcome everybody. This is the material that we can use in order to check the content for week 2. Remember that this week we were talking about emotions, how to express emotions and how to express expectations. Okay. Now, let's check the basic vocabulary. When we talk about emotions, obviously we remember the movie Inside Out, right? And then words such as anger, sadness, fear, disgust, and joy appear, right? Well, let's check adjectives that are related to each of these emotions, okay? So let's check pronunciation. In that case, we have happy, glad, joyful, interested, proud, powerful, optimistic. In the case of anger, we have adjectives such as angry, annoyed, mad, aggressive, furious. In the case of surprise, well, we have the adjectives surprised, startled, confused, amazed, excited. In the case of fear, we have adjectives such as scared, fearful, frightened, alarmed, spooked, anxious. One important detail is that when we are using or expressing emotions, definitely we normally use the verb to be. If I want to mention my emotions, so normally we use the verb to be in present or in past. I am or I I was. Okay? I was happy, I was surprised, I am confused, I am scared. When you're talking about yourself, right? If you're talking about another person, she is or he is, right? We can also use verbs such as feel. Okay, I feel sad. All right. So let's continue with sadness. We have more vocabulary. Adjectives such as sad, guilty, abandoned, depressed, lonely, and bored. Now, common expressions or common questions that we can ask about a person is, how are you feeling? Notice that we normally use the expression for greetings, how are you? How do you do? Remember, this is just a hello, okay, in English. When we ask a person, how are you? We are not really asking the person how the person feels. It's just to say hello, all right? But when we are talking about how are you feeling, are you all right? Is everything all right? Or is everything okay? What's wrong? In this case, we are asking the person to tell us something about their feelings, emotions, because we can perceive something maybe on their faces, right? Uh, Possible answers. I feel great today. I've been in a bad mood all day and feeling bad for my parents. Mary made her very angry. So, as you can see here, we have the verbs. Remember, I was mentioning before feel, the verb to be, okay? And in this case, we can use may. She makes me or she made me. All right. In that case, it's also possible to indicate that we found that or we find that emotion because of someone else actions or attitudes. Okay. Now, we are going to check also in this lesson a structure that is normally used to describe or to express emotions or expectations, right? And that is the use of participles. Participles as adjectives. What is that? When we're talking about participles, we're talking about gerund form, the verb finishing in ing, or the word finishing in ed, mentioning the word, not the verb. Okay, because in this case, when we have these two examples, they are not the actions, okay, of the sentence. Remember, when we want to express emotions, when we want to express our feelings, we use the verb to be. And this is what we are using here. This is our main verb. Stephen King's books are. So in this case, you are describing the book or the books in this case that belong to Stephen King's or Stephen King's book or the books that Stephen King wrote. Oh, the books are fascinating. So in this case, we can use ing because we are giving the description of the object in that case, right? But if you're talking about yourself, how you feel about Stephen King's books, because you enjoy them, because you like them. So in that case, you say, I am fascinated. We use ed. So we use ed when you're talking about how you feel about something, but we use ing to describe, in this case, something, but you can describe a person, right? You can say, oh, my mother is fascinated, or she's a fascinating woman, okay? But we are describing my mom, we are describing the person. But if I'm mentioning how she feels, I'm talking about her emotions. So in that case, I use ed. So my mom is fascinated by those books. Okay. And something really important when we are using ed, notice that we are using the preposition by. I am bored by. I am fascinated by. I am surprised by. Okay, so I use ed, I use the preposition by. The only one that doesn't use by but uses in is when we use the word interested. I am interested in. Okay, for example, I am interested in a big pizza in this moment. Okay, that is, I'm expressing my emotions. I expressing my feelings in this moment. Okay, but remember that when we use ing, it's not to express our feelings, it's to describe something. Okay? So essentially, this is the difference between using participle ing or using participle ed when we're talking about expressing emotions or describing